Hello, and welcome back to Bloodborne. Last time we got kidnapped and taken to Yaha-Ghul, the Unseen Village, the even darker side of Yharnam. The Spark Hunter badge that we obtained from killing Dark Beast Pal allows for the purchase of bolt paper, as well as more copies of the Tonitrus, and so is a worthy reward for any character. Additionally, on our way out of Yaha-Ghul, we stopped by Old Yharnam and had a friendly chat with Dura, obtaining another hunter badge, letting us purchase not only the rifle spear which we had obtained before in Old Yharnam, but an entirely new weapon, the one that Dura was using, the stake driver. So let's try that on for size. Yep, it's a fucking pile bunker. The closest thing we'll probably ever get to an Armored Souls game. But let's get that thing upgraded, because at +0 it's not going to do much against the enemies that we'll be facing. In fact, we'll be taking it beyond +3 all the way to +6, as that is the proper level a weapon is expected to be for the next area. That's why the game has been throwing all of those twin shards at us. So let's remove our good blood gems from the Kirkhammer there then, since we don't really have enough to outfit more than one weapon at the moment. If you recall, we also obtained a new rune in Yaha-Ghul, the Moon Rune. It is considerably more useful than the much more situational Air Rune, so let's swap out that for the Moon Rune. And the minor increase in defense that the Lake Rune provides isn't all that useful, so let's switch it out for the more situational Beast Rune, which reduces falling damage by 50%. In addition to the increase to beasthood. And in addition to the chat that we had with Dura, we also killed him. And that lets us buy his armor set here at the Insight Shop in the Dream. Dura is known through his contact with the Powder Kegs, the heretics of the workshop. He is said to have been both uncommonly kind and dreadfully foolish. Dura felt defeated by the state of Old Yharnam and renounced his hunter's vows. Gives a bit more context to Dura's goals and motivations, which is nice. And it is a very snazzy looking set, so let's get that on right away. Gorgeous. It also has especially high beasthood, so if you're trying to utilize beast blood pellets, this is a good armor set to do it with.
Welcome home, good hunter. What is it you desire? Very well. Let the echoes become your strength. Let me stand close. Now shut your eyes.
There are a number of stats that we could raise here that would be helpful. Strength and skill provide equal damage bonuses to the stake driver due to its equal strength and skill scalings, but we're going to put all of our available levels into Arcane here. Additionally, we're going to use some of our stored cold bloods to get some more blood echoes for one more level. We want to reach 15 Arcane for a certain reason you'll see later. A bit more blood echoes than necessary, admittedly, but that's okay. I kind of assumed the level cost was greater than it was.
What is it you desire? Very well. Let the echoes become your strength. Let me stand close. Now shut your eyes.
But that's fine. We can use that extra level then to put into skill, giving us a bit more damage with the stake driver and a bit more visceral attack damage as well.
Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
And good day to you, doll. But before we actually progress anymore, let's check in on Odin Chapel. Our buddies there, see how they're holding up.
Oh, hello. Sorry, dear, you're much too eager. I've only so much blood, okay?
I was trying to get her to give us another vial of blood here, but it seems that you need to have used one, and then have gone through a loading screen to trigger that. Just using one in front of her is not enough to get her to give you another one, it seems. But that's okay. Let's go check in on the old lady then.
Oh, how did we ever get into this mess?
Well, she doesn't look so good.
I'll spare you one nugget of advice. Beware the Lady of the Night. I can see it in her eyes. She deeply resents the young saint. She hears people whisper. She knows what people think of her. Yes. She despises the saint for having what she doesn't. Bloody wench, they should have moved her on ages ago. Oh. Give it a rest, please. I've no time for your petty lies. What? Just go away now. I can't stand the stench of your lying breath.
That's right, we rescued a churchwoman in Yahagul.
Oh, brave hunter. You're alive. Thank you very much. The town is in disarray, but there are still people here. Together we await the help of the healing church. I cannot begin to express my gratitude to you. The only thing that I can offer is my own lowly blood, if it would suffice. Yes, of course. Coming close. Now, take my blood. Brave hunter, please give me a little more time. There are others in need of my blood.
Adela here is a blood saint of the Healing Church, a woman of the church whose duty is to give healing blood to others. Unlike Ariana's blood, which boosts your stamina regeneration, this gives you HP regeneration in addition to healing your health for a solid amount. This makes it a more valuable healing item, but its usefulness is still limited by the fact that you can only carry one at a time. So, how's the chapel dweller doing? He must be happier now that he has a bunch of friends.
Oh, the hunter. Alive and well at that. Another one you sent made it here safe and sound. This place is a haven now for so many. Thanks to you. I'm overjoyed, really, that you'd even give me the time of day. I don't suppose there's anybody out there worth saving anymore, but you did all you could. And so many owe you so much. Amazing, really. Not because you're a hunter, but because you're you. Oh, makes me think. Once dawn breaks, maybe I can just, start over. Makes it easier to bear all of this, you see. You've made life easier. Thank you. If you please, kind hunter, when the night of the hunt passes, suppose we could be friends? Maybe? Now, I know I hardly deserve it, but, well, I had to just ask, you know. Out of line, yes, perhaps so, but, well, give it a thought. If you wouldn't mind, of course.
Of course I wouldn't mind. We can be friends, Butto. And
Hello.
here once again I try vainly to get more blood from her. To no avail, unfortunately. So, let's check out that side path to the right of the Grand Cathedral. We attempted to go down it before, but were balked by the rifle spear wielding hunter. Now that we're a bit stronger, let's see if we can't manage to face him in one-on-one combat. And see what lies beyond his reach. Let's just buff with bolt paper here, give ourselves whatever advantage we can. The stake driver is actually a pretty good weapon for this. Its dashing attack being just quick enough to hit him after evading one of his attacks before he has time to dodge himself. And buffed with bolt paper does pretty decent damage to him. However, killing him that way would be awfully slow going, so let's try being a bit more aggressive here. It's not that effective of a strategy. Each of the enemy hunters that you encounter throughout the game reacts differently due to their differing AI, and some just have to be fought more defensively than others. Personally, I'm convinced that the AI actually is reading your inputs, and that is why they are able to so perfectly dodge your attacks if you don't time them perfectly yourself, but maybe that's just me. Either way, get him in the right positions and you can take him down without too much trouble, especially with a +6 weapon. The reward isn't very much, but at least we don't have to deal with him anymore. Come again? Uh-huh. Okay, we're probably not gonna get anything worthwhile from him, so let's check his neighbor out. Yeah, it seems the folks in these parts aren't too forthcoming with any helpful information, so let's just continue on our way then. Here you can see the main reason why it's worth killing the rifleman. If you just rush ahead, you'll encounter this kidnapper here. And fighting him at the same time as the rifle spear hunter is tricky. If you notice, there's a wandering nightmare down there, but that one's not worth going for. It only drops regular bloodstone shards, not the twin shards that we're currently looking for. And it will force you down a path down this cliffside that is less advantageous. You will not be able to kill these rifle-wielding hunters here, and that makes this upcoming part much more difficult. So it's best to just ignore it so you can take these guys out as you descend here. Suffice it to say, fighting either of these two executioners here while being sniped from above is not a pleasant experience. By themselves, especially if you tackle them separately, they're no more threatening than the ones in Hemwick Charnel Lane were. This second executioner up here is best approached with caution because he's not alone there. If you look carefully, You notice that there's 2 wandering nightmares there, and we don't want them scampering off while we're facing the executioner, so it's best to lead him away so we can take him out without alerting them. And this right here is what makes the stake driver truly special. It's extremely slow but extremely powerful charged R2. There it didn't do especially impressive damage, but that's because the executioner was blocking, and that reduces the damage he takes by like 90% or some crazy high amount. Against an open, non-blocking foe, it does insane amounts of damage, as you'll get to see later. So, having led the executioner away, these wandering nightmares here are easy pickings, especially with bolt paper applied to the stake driver here, netting us a few more twin shards. That'll come in handy for when we want to bring another weapon to +6. So here we have a closed door. Wait a minute. Hey, don't think we're gonna fall for that again. We learned our lesson outside of Odin Chapel way back, but that's all that there is on this path here. So let's go check out the password-guarded door we found in the healing ward quite a whiles ago. Oh, Alfred's on the way there. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, good to see you safe. Now, let's think up something to discuss. Just tell me what piques your interest.
Tell us about Bergenworth again.
Bergenworth is an old place of learning, and the Tomb of the Gods, carved out below Yharnam, should be familiar to every hunter. Well, once a group of young Bergenworth scholars discovered a holy medium deep within the tomb. This led to the founding of the Healing Church and the establishment of blood healing. In this sense, everything sacred in Yharnam can be traced back to Bergenworth. But today, the college lies deep within a tangled wood, abandoned and decrepit. And furthermore, the Healing Church has declared Bergenworth forbidden ground. It's unclear how many of its scholars remain alive, but only they know the password that allows passage through the gate.
Any other useful information?
Ah, there's something I want to tell you. A bit of wisdom from the eminent master Logarius. Once, a scholar betrayed his fellows at Bergenworth and brought forbidden blood back with him to Canehurst Castle. It was there that the first of the inhuman Vile Bloods was born. The Vile Bloods are fiendish creatures who threaten the purity of the Church's blood healing. The ruler of the Vile Bloods is still alive today. And so, to honor my master's wishes, I search for the path to Canehurst Castle. I bid you farewell. It has been a pleasure. May the good blood guide your way.
If we ever find this Canehurst, we probably ought to tell Alfred about it. Quid pro quo and all. So, up ahead is the password-guarded door. If you remember, we found a note saying that the password was the old adage of Bergenworth. Something we obtained from the vision we saw after killing Vicar Amelia. And that is recalled by the gold pendant passed down among the vicars of the Healing Church.
The password.
Fear the old blood? Hey, it worked. So let's see who's guarding the gate here. Well now. Is he... Yeah, he's already dead. Huh. Well, that kind of puts a damper on things, doesn't it? Well, moving on then. The gold pendant can actually be used to obtain a special blood gem. There's no need to keep the pendant around for the password, by the way, so you might as well use it as soon as you kill Amelia. But the blood gem you get isn't too terribly valuable. It provides an exceptionally large damage bonus, at least at the time that you initially get it, but only towards beasts, and some of the most dangerous enemies we fought, the other hunters, are not counted as beasts, so its usefulness is a bit limited. And so we enter the Forbidden Woods. Alfred just mentioned that the College of Bergenworth, the birthplace of the Healing Church, was located within a dense tangle of wood. So perhaps we'll find it here, should we explore it deeply enough. That word, tangle, is a fantastic way to describe this area here. Already at the start you can see how the pathway twists and curves, and that only continues to increase in intensity as you head deeper into the woods. I don't think it's an over-exaggeration to say that this is not only the largest but one of the most confusing areas in the game, so if at any point it looks like that we're lost and we're not sure of where to go, that's kind of why. This place kind of defies mental mapping. Right away we encounter this large huntsman here, indicating the presence of hunters within this forest. And we find a new type of hunter. This one lobs oil urns at you, and they can be especially dangerous when in combination with other hunters. Oil urns, if you've forgotten, make it so that the target receives double damage from the first fire attack that hits them. A deadly combination with any torch-wielding hunter. Hello there. What happened to you there? Oh, it's just an executioner. Nothing to be worried about, as long as we don't consistently fail stagger attempts. It's kind of sad how far these enemies have fallen from our first encounter with one way back in central Yharnam there. So threatening back then, and now more like a big axe-wielding baby, more than anything else. This is the first area in the game, outside of the Chalice dungeons that is, that offers blood gems as fairly common loot. A surefire boon for any player forgoing the Chalice dungeons. The developers mercifully decided to put a lantern right here at the beginning of the area, so you don't have to go traipsing through the cathedral ward and make it up to here every time you die. Although it's not an entirely safe bonfire. While not threatening per se, they do give you a reason not to just leave your character here and go off and do something else. Else you'll come back and find them dead, pecked to death by the crows for their eyes. There's also a locked door here with what appears to be a person behind there. They even have a lantern besides them. We'll doubtless meet them later. Hopefully they'll be friendly. Here we encounter the major enemy type in this area, Yharnam hunters, but wearing slightly different garb, lighter colored than their central Yharnam counterparts. Otherwise, they're functionally the same, coming in the same sorts of varieties, although they're considerably tougher than the ones in central Yharnam. And again, twin shards are very common at this point. If you don't have a +6 weapon, then you're not paying attention. But Speaking of not paying attention, that looks a little suspicious, don't it? That suspicious pile of boards with a metal plate beneath it. Yeah, that's the actual dangerous thing about this area. Traps. They're not terribly common, but if you find yourself caught in one, you're probably not going to survive. That one there does enough damage to one-shot you no matter how high your health is, at least from my experience. During the first part of the woods here, most of the enemies encountered are ones that we've seen before. So if you know how to deal with them, they're not really going to be that much of a threat, although the encounters in which they're in can be somewhat novel. This one here, if you were to approach it from the front, could be quite dangerous, as you'd end up being mobbed by dogs and hunters coming after you, but if you ambush them from behind, you can take out the most dangerous elements, such as the quick-moving dogs here. That is the power of the fully charged Stake Driver R2. However, it drains a very large amount of stamina, enough to drain our entire bar, meaning its use can be dangerous if there are other enemies around to catch you unawares. And here you can see me several times unwittingly demo just how dangerous the oil urn throwing huntsman can be. The torch-wielding hunters, usually not too much of a threat, do obscene amounts of damage if you are oiled up, making these guys a prime target to take down. But with them gone, it's easy enough to clean up the scraps. They're no longer much of a threat. Another strategy that you can employ here is to, from above, aggro the dogs at a distance with pebbles. If you position yourself at the right points, you can end up causing them to run into the fire, killing themselves, making the encounter much easier than it otherwise would be. Here we have a bit of a crossroads, with 3 paths that one can travel down here. That doesn't look like it's too safe to be stepping on, so let's go back and check out the other paths. And pick up an item that we missed on our first time through. To accentuate the whole beast theme this place has got going on, beast blood pellets become a somewhat common item here. If you haven't been using them much yet, this is a good chance to start doing so, since you're not likely to run out. Another suspicious pile of planks. If history has taught us anything, yep, it's a trap. So, up until now, Bloodborne has taken influence primarily from Victorian horror for its aesthetic design, as well as using a bit of Salem-inspired horror for Hemwick Charnel Lane. Starting with this area here, we start to see it take influence from other horror works as well, this one being one big reference to Resident Evil 4. This village in particular being very similar to the first village you encounter at the start of Resident Evil 4. I suppose it could just be a coincidence, but I feel there are too many similarities for it to be just that. So anyway, let's talk to some of the locals here.
Oh, a hunter of beasts, are you? Glory be, you know not the value you possess. But more's the pity. The hours of the night are many, and the beasts more than I can count. A veritable hunt unending. Not even death offers solace, and the blood imbibes you. A most frightful fate. Oh my. But I'm willing to do you a kindness. Step lightly round to the right of the great cathedral and seek an ancient shrouded church. The gift of the Godhead will grant you strength. Yes, I'm unquestionably certain.
Pro tip, don't search tonsil stone on Google.
Not even death offers solace, and the blood imbibes you. Seek you the ancient shrouded church, hidden to the right of the main cathedral. The gift of the Godhead will grant you strength.
Let's check out that tonsil stone then. A lattice-deformed rock, or perhaps a meteorite, that possesses some odd gravitational force that prevents its riddance. We were just at the church you mentioned not too long ago. Our path barred by that closed door and guarded by that strange black hole. Perhaps the rock will allow us to unlock that door, perhaps? We'll have to check out that avenue at another time. But for now, we'll continue on here. We could continue on deeper into the village here, but let's check out this side pathway here first. It doesn't look the most inviting, but it seems like there could be something worthwhile waiting beyond here. Antidotes. That's never a good sign in these games. If they give you antidotes, it's always for a reason, because you're apt to be poisoned soon. And poisoned soon we shall be, for we have this entire poisonous swamp here. And we're not alone either. It's not a bad idea to put antidotes on the hotbar for quick access, should the need arise. Now, the swamp floor slows our walking speed by a fair bit, so it's best to draw this guy forward a bit and fight him where we're not going to be slowed and poisoned. Especially since he's a fairly tough one. Although this church giant is naked and weaponless, he's actually far more dangerous than his cathedral ward counterparts. His strong punches being much quicker than the slow axe that his cousins wield, and being much tougher to avoid, but the stake driver can make quick work of him nonetheless. Now, if they were the only enemy in this swamp, it wouldn't be such of a bad area, but there's another enemy lurking below the shallow depths here. Parasite larvae, who are probably one of the most annoying enemies in the game. They're low to the ground, which makes hitting them difficult whether you're locked on or not, although it is slightly easier if you are unlocked and you aim your attacks towards them, down toward the ground. But what makes them truly aggravating is how they leap all over the place, making it hard to keep track of them, especially since they're difficult to see below the surface of the water. A wise person might think to use Molotov cocktails to attack them at a distance and take them out without introducing an element of danger. And a wise person would be wrong, because, for whatever reason, the parasite larvae have extremely high elemental defense, taking barely any damage from fire, bolt, or arcane damage sources. Thus, pretty much your only option to take them out is with physical damage with your weapon, up close and personal. But, as long as you fight them in small groups, ideally with no other enemies around, and you take things carefully, being sure to heal up whenever you get too low on HP in case they get a surprise hit on you, they can be taken out without too much danger. But if you're overly aggressive on them, it can lead to a very quick death, as you can see here. So let's make another attempt at that then, but before we get back to the swamp, let's check out this house again.
Oh, Evans, would you stop that? Every peep you make brings us bad luck. I have it bad enough already. Please, just leave a poor old woman be.
The resident of the house clearly has changed. Wonder what that could mean. Anyway, here back at the swamp, let's make use of the shaman bone blades we have. Just plunk one of the church giants with one and then lead him over to the parasite larvae and he can actually take them out pretty handily. It really is amazing just how effective they are at making a lot of encounters much easier than they otherwise would be. To the point that you could argue that the ability to purchase them from the Insight Shop is the true reward for beating the Central Thumerian Chalice Dungeon, more so than anything else that we ended up getting there. With the parasite larvae gone, the church giant is easy enough to finish off. There we go, there's our blood echoes. And it seems there are no more parasite larvae in the surrounding area. Here we have the last difficult encounter in this swamp area. One more church giant and a few parasite larvae over there. It probably wouldn't have been a bad idea to use the remaining shaman bone blade on him, but I wanted to save it for a later encounter. And here we have probably the most difficult part of this little swamp side area here. To the point that it's probably not worth doing on most characters because the reward at the end of it is very character specific. It's more difficult to take on the parasite larvae in such a small space, so it's a lot easier to bait them out into the wider open area and then finish off the remaining ones inside. If you just go charging in recklessly, you're probably going to get murdered by them all, considering how many there are. But again, if you handle them carefully, it's easy enough to avoid death. Just make sure your HP is topped off at all times. And there's the reward. The first arcane blood gem available in the game outside of the Chalice dungeons. For an arcade build, it is an invaluable treasure, letting you make one weapon with a triangle slot scale with your arcane stat, but otherwise it's completely worthless and not worth the effort of killing all those extra parasite larvae, and so is best avoided if you're not an arcane build. Don't ask me why it played the shaman bone blade animation there. I have no idea why that happened.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart. But you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still
This ladder has taken us up a long way, but not to someplace new. For we've been here before, just not on this side of this gate here. Yep, we're back at the very start of the game, right outside of Yosefka's clinic, leading into central Yharnam here. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And though the shortcut itself is not terribly useful, it allows access into this new area here. Our first enemy is a creepy betentacled creature. That's probably not a good sign. And again, to show just how strong the stake driver is, even though its charge attack does blunt damage, which the brain sucker heavily resists, it's still more than enough to take it out in one go. That is just how powerful the charged attack is. Where could this be leading, though? One must wonder. We've already explored most of Yharnam. Aha! Back in Yosefka's clinic, a portion of which we were never able to access before. I guess now we'll be able to find out what exactly is up with Yosefka here. Oh, wait a minute. What's that? What exactly was Yosefka doing in here? And why is it carrying one of her blood vials? That's odd. And there's the table that we first woke up on after receiving the blood transfusion. A summons to Forsaken Castle Canehurst, bafflingly addressed to us. The stagecoach leaves from Hemwick Crossing. We'll have to follow that up later, but for now we gotta find Yosefka and figure out what her deal is. Another one of these strange blobby things. This one, very much not alive. This is a more potent version of the communion rune that increases the max number of blood vials that you can carry at a time.
Moonlit scents. How did you worm your way in here? Very unfortunate. I had such high hopes for you. Well, I won't make any excuses. Would you mind leaving us alone? Things need not change. You'll do the rescuing, and I'll do the saving. But if you refuse to leave... Oh well. I've always wanted to try my hand on a hunter.
We probably shouldn't head in any further. That would only anger Yosefka, and we don't want to do that just yet. If nothing else, we've gained some insight into her situation here. Enough that it's probably a good idea that we didn't send any of the Yharnam citizenry to her, and instead sent them all to Odin Chapel. I don't think they would have turned out well had they been sent here. But even though we've gained some answers, those answers have simply opened up even more questions to be asked. Well, that'll be for a later time, as we explore further in the Forbidden Woods.